Hey, this is Charles on Yet with IGN, and I'm checking out Funcom's The Secret World, what is in many ways a very unconventional MMO. It definitely has a different kind of pacing to it than you would be used to if you've been playing things like Star Wars: The Old Republic and World of Warcraft, and that a lot of that is due to the fact that there really isn't any leveling in the game. You do see an experience bar at the bottom, but you don't gain levels, you gain ability points that can be put in basically anywhere in this giant ability wheel. These are all of the abilities in the game contained within here. You can also spend skill points on boosting your efficiency with particular categories. I've focused on pistols and blood magic here. Blood magic for healing, pistols for damage from distance. You can also find shotguns and assault rifles and melee weapons and, yeah, different types of magic as well. So there are a bunch of different ways to build your character. To give you a little bit of guidance through here, Funcom does provide decks, so you can pick a deck if you want that kind of have, because there isn't any class selection when you start out, so I like the sound of the assassin, so I equipped the deck, and it basically directed me to blood magic plus range, so it's got suggestions for some end-level abilities I should pick up, and then once you do have the abilities, you can bring them onto your equipped actives and equipped passives bar. You only have a limited number there, and I actually want to replace my drone kit here with a critical buff. So by activating this, I actually get increased chance of critical hit by 40%, which is a pretty massive increase. So I'm going to keep that on there. I have a couple healing shields equipped that negate damage for a little bit and also heal me, AoE blast, and some magic here, as well as primary the business gun attack, as well as the shootout. The business will build gun resources, and then this will consume gun resources. So pretty basic in terms of how that works, but clearly a lot of variety you can build into your character. I could, if I had an assault rifle, I don't actually right now, I could equip that on and start learning assault rifle skills. It's pretty easy to switch up your role. The setting itself is pretty different for an MMO. You'll notice I'm not an orc or an elf or anything like that. I am, you know, a hipstery bookish girl with a giant book on her back. That worked out pretty well, because that is the blood magic weapon, and I also have my pistols, and there's quite a detailed character creator at the start, so you can pick accessories and things like that, change hair, appearance, all that type of thing. Jump on this car. I don't think it has an alarm on it, so I'm not going to get attacked by zombies. But yeah, you start out in this town. This is the first major questing zone called Kingsmouth. A couple horror references with Lovecraft Lane, Elm Street, things like that. So definitely aware of what it's trying to do, some self-aware elements, and it's filled with zombies, which is nice because it gives me a chance to kill things and earn experience. So I'm going to shoot this guy. You can see my basic attack. This is my follow-up. That was shootout. I have this blood magic here that I can use. I'm inflicting states on the hindered state there, so various states of debuff for enemies. I can boost my critical chance. Now you can see I'm getting quite a few more criticals as I do damage here, which helps me take them down a lot faster. And if I do take damage, I can put up these health shields, which will bring my health back, and as well as absorb some damage. So there seems to be some depth to the skill system, although I haven't really explored it very much. I'm not all that far into the game yet, but in terms of how you actually buy things, it's actually really easy. I do have a couple ability points available, so maybe I could go into, say, blood magic here and purchase blood spike for 1 ability point. Buy it, there we go, it's active. I can equip it if I want to. I'm not going to right now, but yeah, it's that easy once you earn the points. So there are a couple ways to play. I'm in the PvE questing mode here. You can also jump into PvP arenas whenever you want to. Stonehenge is a PvP arena, or you can go to something like the Fusang Projects here, which is a persistent PvP warzone, a much bigger map where you can run around with a whole bunch of people from the 3 different factions in the game and try to capture points all around the map. In terms of progressing your character, getting more skill and ability points, PvP seems to be the way to go. It's actually a lot faster to get through the content in PvP from what I've found so far. Maybe that will be different later. What I'm trying to do right now, I am on a quest to gather some homemade explosives for a guy in town. And actually, when I got this quest, there was a fully voiced, it was over here, a fully voiced cutscene that was very movie-like. It included a whole bunch of different camera angles and things like that that made it feel a little bit more dynamic than the cutscenes you see in something like Star Wars: The Old Republic. So that was cool, but what's kind of weird is that when the quest ends, it just kind of, you text your results back. So you use a cell phone and just kind of text, okay, I'm done, and it doesn't really bookend the quest properly, or in a satisfying way. I shouldn't say properly, but it feels kind of disappointing that there's this huge buildup at the start of these larger quests, and then at the end of it, it's just kind of like, all right, well, you know, here you go. I'll text this back to you. So I'm just trying to pick up supplies, which are right here, and then it should highlight my map with my next location. I have completed a tier of these quests. Most of these quests are in tiers. You can often find images and hidden hints within these tiers while you're looking at your quest log, because some of these quests are actually pretty complicated and they don't really tell you exactly where to go. So in this case, it's like, go here, and there's a giant red circle. But in a lot of cases, you have to break this out. They have a web browser right in game, and you do need to Google results and things like that, or talk to other players through chat to figure out what's going on. There are puzzles in the game, and it seems to take inspiration from adventure titles where it'll give you kind of the basic clues, but won't tell you specifically what to do or highlight it on your map or on your game screen. So why collect the diesel? Do it. Oh God. I wish you would collect the diesel. It would make this a lot easier. I don't know if there's something specific. Maybe what I was just talking about applies here. I really don't know. Or maybe the diesel is just resetting. It was. Oh, I have to go over to the fire department. The fire department has a lot of people, a lot of zombies with fire axes around it. So there is a lot of traveling around in the map. This quest structure itself is not particularly inventive. This isn't perhaps the best example of some of the more creative quest types. And I guess that's good to show, because for as many creative quest types as there seem to be just as many very standard quest types where it's like, oh hey, you killed 10 zombies, good job, go kill 15 zombies. And that has happened from time to time, so you do get some much more conventional quest goals along with the more inventive types. And some of the creative types can be pretty frustrating for reasons that aren't necessarily because you weren't figuring it out properly. Like there's one that asks you to go follow some crows, and the game never tells you that the crows, you're not supposed to follow them through the air. They just kind of fly off and disappear into the screen. You're like, well, what just happened? And you're actually just supposed to find more crows that are on the ground in the direction that the first crow went, which is really not obvious at all. And that has nothing to do with problem solving. It's just not explained very well. So you do get instances like that where it could just be improved through explanation, really. I'm fighting some firefighters, and I'm supposed to find a cold pack. Oh, here we have some floating loot. Let me pick that up. Gimme. Alright, it's not letting me click it. Maybe because that's somebody else's. I don't know where this cold... Oh, there we go. Looks like some cold packs. And I'm good. And now I'm supposed to go to the cafe on Arkham Avenue, so I'm going to get out of here because I do not like fighting these guys. You can see that, I don't know if you noticed, but when you did fight this guy, this is an example of a unique mechanic. That's a fire chief. I don't know. Well, here, I'll fight him, whatever. You can see this little cone in front of him, and I jumped out of the way there. I used my active dodge, but you do get some special mechanics like that against some monster types to make it feel like you're not just fighting the same thing over and over again. Here's my AoE. I'm going to activate my crit, and that should take him down pretty easily. There we go, and I did get some items from him. Looks like some money. And speaking of items, I can show off a little bit of how that system works. It's pretty interesting, actually. And I haven't dug that much into it yet, but when you do get different items in the game, you can bring up a Minecraft-like crafting panel. So if I didn't want, say, this thing, this ring, this finger talisman, because I actually have something that's a little bit better, I can drop it into the disassemble panel, and it will break it down into component pieces that are arranged in specific format or formations. So disassemble, there we go. I've got a whole bunch of different material types sitting in my inventory right now, and I could recombine those by setting them into this pane, splitting the stacks, and setting them in specific patterns, mixing them with tools and other things. Oh, here we go. Well, there we go. I can build a different component with it. Anyway, this isn't a system I've toyed around with much, but it seems like there's quite a bit of depth there in terms of creating better items, as well as modifying items you have with glyphs and things like that. So there is some depth there to the item crafting system. So I'm going to head over to try and get to this quest marker. There is a lot of random running around in this game, so you do spend quite a bit of time just kind of trekking from place to place. And because you're not really leveling your character, I believe I did this one already, actually. Because you're not really in the drive to level your character, it doesn't feel as necessary to kill everything you see. It's definitely a more relaxed feel to the PvE gameplay, more about sitting back and figuring things out than it is about rushing to try and be the first to level cap or something like that. This is not really a game about being as efficient as possible with how you play, and more about just at least trying to enjoy the experience, which has succeeded with me to varying degrees so far. Something like this quest I'm not really a huge fan of. So now I'm supposed to put these ingredients that I've discovered back in a box, which is over, looks like it's right next to the quest giver. So maybe I will actually get some kind of end cap type of cinematic here. We will see in a second once I'm back inside the police station. It looks like people have built up a bit of a barricade against the zombies. And drop this stuff in here, and let's see what happens. Nope. I'm just going to text it. Send my report. There we go. This is the end of quest screen. And I have a couple quest rewards here that can boost block rating. I don't really care about. Crit power, health, penetration. I'm going to go with the heal rating and crit power. So I'll collect that. And there we go. I got some rewards. I got an ability point and a skill point. So that was actually pretty good. I have quite a bit sitting in reserve here, so I should spend those. But yeah, that's a quick look at the secret world from Funcom. I'm a little nervous about the total lack of excitement in the community on this one. I have not seen a lot of positive buzz. It's definitely a different style of game, and I mean, it definitely has issues with some of the quests, like I've shown off, where they're just kind of, some of them are just kind of boring, and I'm kind of nervous that a lot of people are just going to sort of pass it by just because it is really different. But maybe, you know, further in it just doesn't really get much better. I don't know yet. I haven't played a little bit, but I am willing to give it a shot just because it is very different from what I've experienced until you hop into PvP, and then it feels like pretty standard PvP. But yeah, this game is out now, so it's unfortunately a full-priced, subscription-based game, so there really isn't a cheap way to get into it, which is probably also not in Funcom's favor. So we'll see if that changes over the coming weeks and months. But we will be doing a full review on IGN, and you can check back for updated impressions over the coming weeks, as well as a final review probably in 2 to 3 weeks, usually closer to 3.